So, you want to hear a story, huh? Have I got a story for you? There was a legend.
Welcome back, Eternal Dragon here, and we've got an update to Bladewing. We've gone Chaos 100, Bladewing 2.0. This thing is ready for Chaos 100, can take down the raid bosses, and is Clawbringer spec right up to the capstone. So let me take you through the demo here, then we're gonna hit the build. See you on the other side. Alright, so I hope you're hyped for this one, friends. Chaos 100 Clawbringer, and it works. But before we get into what we're doing here, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, heck, share the video. You know all the things they say to do. They actually matter. Hit that little ding bell. All of these things will definitely help me grow this channel throughout 2023. And look towards the kind of cool new content that we want to get into, especially if Tina's kind of peters out on DLC. Might go back to more Borderlands 3, might go and do some other cool new stuff too. We've got some neat ideas on the horizon. So, let's get into the build. Now, we are using a Sword Explosion as our main weapon, and we do have another Sword Explosion here, a Dark Magic one. Now, this one is on the build for specifically when you run into enemies that are very fire resistant, as there are a few in the game. So you can switch on over to the Sword Explosion and Dark Magic right away and just clear those guys right up, not a problem. But additionally, having the Dark Magic there lets us trigger War's Curse over here in the Blightcaller tree. Now I have included a few other Dark Magic items for the build in case you like those a little bit better than the Sword Explosion, and I will show those to you right here. Got an Apex there, Shadow Fire, Throwable Hole, and if you don't like the Fire spell, I do have a Dark Magic version of it there for the build too. So main weapon is the Sword Explosion, and of course you want to make sure to use it in sticky mode. You will get the most use out of it then, but it does work pretty darn good in impact mode for this build as well. Now for the mobbing, we do have a Phoenix as well. You'll see this one ricochets shots all over the place. This is a fantastic mobbing weapon. Absolutely love it, and it just can hit everything all over the screen really quick. Combos super duper well with our action skill that we're using, Plague Storm. And then on top of that too, we do have a Masterwork Handbow. Now this is for some reason, all the enemies you run into are fire immune and dark magic immune. Then hey, you can swap over here, it's non-elemental. It does about the same job as the Echoing Phoenix, it's a very similar effect to the Phoenix here. But it is non-elemental. It will ricochet crossbolts on critical hit all over the place, hitting all the enemies everywhere, helping you to get all of your critical hits and stack up your damage for your Plague Storm. So those are our weapons there. Now of course, on spellcast increase elemental damage by 20%, an extremely powerful enchantment there on this one. And then here we have on action skill start damage 20, and same here for the Sword Explosion and Dark Magic. Now we've gone with those on these two, specifically because you are probably going to be using these in a slightly different manner than you will be using the Sword Explosion, whereas this is sort of just like your everyday boss melter, super big enemy melter, badasses, mountain trolls. You take them down with your Sword Explosions. You can sit over here on the Phoenix and ricochet shots around for the smaller guys, and so that additional all damage 20, it can really help for mobbing right a bit faster. And then over here, ability damage, that's so if you get this one out, hey, then your Plague Storm and any of the Geist in the Shells that you get will be getting buffed for a bunch of extra damage with that ability there. And that's just to help you get around those elemental immunities if you have found that you hit both fire and dark magic. Now over here we have, I just love this thing, it is a quest reward. This is the Goblin's Bane. As you can see, melee attacks deal 100% additional damage against enemies above 95% HP with Echo. So if you have a lot of damage stacked up, you can turn around and just destroy people with this thing in one swing. The Plague Storm, it really works quite well with it to stack up extra damage for your Echo, and the Echo can transfer damage up into the Plague Storm. So, you know, sometimes you can be dealing a lot of damage to one particular heavy-duty enemy, turn around, just one hit a mountain troll with the melee swing, absolutely fantastic. And then we've got it enchanted with on spellcast, increase our gun damage by 30% for 10 seconds. And of course we're doing a lot of gun damage with this build. Moving on down to our rings, we have two Wyvern's Rings. These things give you increased fire damage 20% each, and gun damage 25% each at Ascended. So 50% additional gun damage here, and another 40% additional fire damage for the build. We are a fire damage build, and we are pushing it as far as we possibly can. Moving over to the shield, we also have a body rune here with on spellcast, increase fire damage by 30% for 5 seconds. And additionally, this rune shield gives to you and anyone else on your team wearing a rune shield. If you kill an enemy, restore 15% of your maximum health, and deal additionally 20% more fire damage for a short duration, pushing that fire damage even further. We have yet another quest reward here, Vorcanar's Cog. You get this for defeating Vorcanar. We have it with a fire damage Clawbringer one, and 35% damage all dealt on this. You always get it with the double all damage roll at higher levels. Super great amulet here. Now we want the Clawbringer power, so that when we use the action skill here, Plague Storm, we get the extra bonus there. we are using the Spectral Talons. Now, these are just a little bit of a leftover from the original version of Bladewing, but I still like to use them because we've got the blade here, and we've got the wing here. It is still a fire damage build. And of course, Enchanted, increasing the fire damage by 50% even further when we've got our action skill up, the Plague Storm. Finally, we got this absolutely tremendous armor. We got a Calamity, increased fire damage by 10% for each unique enemy hit for a brief period. That stacks with any of the different types of damage that you do. You can get it up to 10 times, pushing your fire damage even further. And as you can see, we got it with 3 over here into Awe, and then 2 points into Gheist in the Shell. This is absolutely a god roll armor, and if you download the save file, it will be available for you. Gun damage, area damage, all damage. Let's now move on over to the skills. So we will be using the Plague Storm as our action skill. The other ones do work just fine, but you will get the best results, especially for bossing with the Plague Storm here. We have a Wyvern Companion and Whisper of Rot here, applying a status effect, which is very easy to do with this build, increasing our elemental damage for a short duration. Now, we're not trying for huge DOTs with this build, but what we are doing is stacking up Whisper of Rot to push our elemental damage even further. Because over on this side, Oath of Fire, increasing gun damage by 20%, additional fire damage on our gunshots, and when you actually take this out and you test this, you're going to see that the sword explosions are actually getting about 65% extra fire damage on top of your shots at this point with the build, and that's just from nothing. That's before any build up, so you can get a lot more with the Calamity armor and the body rune once it builds up. But just from straight, you're going to actually be getting about 65% extra fire damage on top of your regular shots here. Over here we've got Radiance, max ward capacity, up by 12%, just to have that bigger ward, and 1 point into Oath of Thunder, so that when we do swing for the big boop with the Goblin's Bane, over here, we can trigger a little bit of lightning damage. And now, that is actually important both for Whisper of Rot and for Awe, which we will talk about in just a second. Now, of course, increasing our elemental damage overall by 25% with Dragon Aura. And then here we've got Dedication, just a little bit of additional action skill cooldown rate based off of our ward. And we will be filling our ward back up with this build, so this is a great skill. 3 out of 5 here, that increases our lightning ability damage and our damage reduction. So this will actually increase lightning damage done by your Plague Storm. But we mainly took it for the damage reduction just to help keep you up in Chaos 100. Blast Hamet's favor here, who doesn't like Remnant Orbs. They're not as good as they were on Amara, but they're still tons of fun. And then we are taking Firebolt here, so that when our Wyvern Companion shoots Firebolts, we cause additional fire damage, but really, we want that increased gun damage again, right there, gun damage boost. And then on this side, you see we get additional damage reduction here from the Lightning side, and we want the Lightning also here from the Storm Smite, because you know what, I'm going to tell you the truth, this doesn't do tons of damage. This is like a 30k ability, 30k damage ability on this build, but what it is Fire and Lightning, which will trigger Awe. Now, our fire damage triggering Awe, increasing our critical hit damage, and our lightning damage triggering Awe, increasing our critical hit chance. Our critical hit damage and chance goes through the roof with this build. You can do crazy great damage with it. Maybe not hundreds of millions, but you will clear absolutely everything in the game with this build as a Clawbringer. Indomitable over here, so the first time if you go into save your soul, you come right back up with a full shield and bonus lightning damage again, so that again you can try to trigger Awe. And like I said, Storm Smite, not the highest damage skill for the build, but it is another ability to trigger Awe here for you to get the damage up, because this is your major damage skill. Coming over here, we have 7 out of 5 in Gheist in the Shell, and then we well, I mean, just look at it. Bog Spirit ability damage, 49% of gun critical hit damage is being turned into poison ability damage and being fed back through our damage formula. This thing comes in for hundreds of thousands, if not a couple million damage when you hit really hard with this thing. Fantastic ability. Absolutely love Gheist in the Shell. 2 out of 3 here in Wraith Mail, the kill skill, so that we're getting 14% of our shield back every time we kill an enemy. And then 5 out of 5 into Flawless Edge. When our shield's up, we're getting 30% additional damage overall. Now here, 1 out of 3 into amped up, that's all we really need here. As you see, whenever we apply the lightning status effect, and we have a few chances on this side here to be applying our lightning status effect. 4 of them on this side, actually. And that translates into additional movement speed and ward restored per second. We get 3 stacks of that, so again, just more ward coming back. And once we trigger our dark magic, look at that, we get the ability and spell damage up. Now we're really looking for the ability damage boost. That is again for the Plague Storm, to get Plague Storm damage up and to get your Geist in the Shell damage up. But again, super worth it to have this as part of the build to trigger that dark magic for the extra hard fights. And then finally, we have Burnt Offering here. When the Fate Maker applies a status effect, their gun damage and their spell cooldown rate are both increased for a duration, while we will be doing fire damage all the time. Triggering a fire status damage effect is going to happen just absolutely constantly with this build. You will forever be at the maximum 3 stacks here. Now, if you do not want to put a point here into Storm Smite, you don't have to. This is not the best skill on the build. It is useful, it will hit things in a wide area, I do like it. But you could put the extra point here if you didn't want to go down to Capstone, put 1 more point into Burnt Offering, get your gun damage up just a little bit more, and it is kind of fun, but you don't really need to do that. Over here we have our hero points. You see we got 48 out of 48 up at strength. That takes our critical damage way up. 28 out of 40 for a fairly high critical chance, but not through the roof or anything. We took the status damage actually way up on the build, and that is just to help out with the different skills here. On the Blightcaller side, see, we could do status effect damage here. So just a little bit of the boost of the status effect damage just to get your damage up a little bit further. Again, it's not the major point of the build to do status effect damage, but this will help the build overall. We got Constitution, just regular, and then 25 out of 40 down here in Attunement, just so that we can get our action skill cooldown back a little bit. Over here into Myth rank, you will see I again have not spent any more points. So we're at 1131, but we got 77 points there floating now. So that's it for the build, friends. Bladewing 2.0 Chaos 100. Thank you so much for checking it out. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's push this thing through the algorithm. Let's get me noticed this year, folks. I know you've all been giving me so much support, but I'd love to grow the audience. I'd absolutely love it. So thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed the build. Again, I play live over on Twitch, and the save file will be in the Discord for anyone who wants it. Thanks again, and happy gaming.
I come flexing with style and mad skills, like my name was Eternal Dragons, gameplay and builds. So come get your fill, cause you paying the bill. The conflict's critical, situation real. I'm a pop, I'm let it rock, those mark, old school 360 like an Xbox, make it hot. What you got, gonna give me go right? I'ma watch my watch as I watch you fly. Slowing down my lyrics for a minute.